Hey, how you doing? I'm William WhiteCrow, and we're here today to talk to you about emergency power. That's right. We're going to pretty much show you what you can do to set yourself with some emergency power. It's getting towards nighttime, and all of you know that when the night falls and all of a sudden if you get any type of power problem out there, brownouts, blackouts, then you're doing exactly that, sitting in the dark. Maybe have a few candles, maybe an oil lamp or something, and those are good. I'm not going to say they're not, but you can produce yourself a lot more power if you know how. And that's exactly what we're going to show you how to do right here. We're going to show you how to create emergency power with pretty much next to nothing. And I'm serious. And I'm going to show you all the things that you're going to need in the next part of this video. All the things you're going to need to have and understand how to use. And I'm going to show you everything right here. And then after the next part, I'm going to show you how to apply it, how to use it. So let's get started on this. Let's get on to part one. What do you need to have emergency power in your home? Okay, here we are in part one. These are the things you're going to need. Notice I got 3 different solar panels here. I got this one, I got a smaller one here, and then I have the large one. Notice the smaller ones all have these clamps. There's 2 clamps, a clamp right to your battery. They're basically made for kind of like a maintainer. If you got a battery sitting around, or a vehicle sitting around, you got a battery in it and you want to keep it charged, hook these things up every day. They get a little bit of sun. But they can also charge a battery very similar to this. It just takes a period of time, that's all. And this is a small lawnmower battery. But you can charge these things and charge your cell phones, things like that, games, whatever you want with. But let's look at this big one. This big one we'll just call Big Blue right here. And it takes a control box. This control box right here is a pretty good little control box. It turns around just for the things you would need in emergency. 7 amps max. It charges up to 14.2 volts. But when your battery drops to below 13 volts, as it says on the bottom there, then this charging system will automatically kick back in and start charging to the higher 14 volt range. Now this wire here goes to your battery and this one goes to your solar panel. So you always want to make sure, and it states that right here and right here. Negative goes to the negative on your battery, positive goes to the positive, and the same here. The negative connection goes to the negative connection on this terminal right here, on the solar panel, and the positive goes to the positive connection. And then those go straight to your battery. This is the connectors that I hooked to this battery, these 2 right here. The other end, which I'm going to show you right here, connects to the 2 wires that come off the top of the solar panel at that end. And once these are connected up, then you have you're charging your battery all day long with free power. That's it. Now to get the power out of there, to go from 12 volt to 120 to 110, right around there, you need one thing called an inverter. And that's what this is right here. It's an inverter. This is a 400 watt inverter. And with this inverter, I can pretty much run my entertainment system that I have in there, meaning I run a couple computers, I run a radio. Not only do I run the radio, I run the entire internet system, satellite system, in emergency situations. And I'll just talk about that more in a minute here. But the other thing that you're going to need hooked up to this, and there's a power button on the very top right there, and there's 2 plug-ins. So you plug this one into or hook it up, shall I say, to the negative terminal of your battery, this one up to the positive terminal of your battery, and from that 12 volts, out of that simple little battery right there, you are going to have 110 to 120 volts coming out of these outlets right here. So, what you need after you have this, of course, is an extension cord. And we have a couple of them right here. A black one, which is a 6 foot, and the orange one, which is a 50 foot. Now, a 50 foot's good. It can go a long way. I've used a couple 100 feet of extension cords on these things before in emergency disaster situations, and I'll explain and show you more later. So you got 2 plug-ins. Now what do you do? Instead of plugging a bunch of cords into there, you plug one in. You only use one of these receptacles, close the other up, just in case. Then you have a surge protector. That's what this is. This thing we all have around the house, we plug our computers and everything into. These are very essential. Now this also has a off and on switch right here. And as I always say, make sure everything that you are using is in the electrical, is in the off position before you do any plugging in. And that is very important. And that is with even the inverter. And there's the on and off inverter button right there. Okay, the top one. So here we go. And what do I use here? This is a 2 cycle. 800 watt portable power plant. Now if I don't have over here my solar panels and everything, but I do have the batteries, then I can turn around and take this 800 watt power plant right here that has a fuel mixture of 50 to 1. And if you hear that, that means 2.5 ounces of oil to 1 gallon of gasoline. And make sure it is 2-cycle oil. And this is an example of the 2-cycle oil I use. I use nothing else. That's my dog George in the background right there. This is the Lucas 2-cycle oil. Emergency situation, can't have a better oil in your power plant. Okay, now things to remember. Make sure all of the switches are in the off position before doing anything. And clean up any fuel on your power plant before starting. So if you spill any fuel, clean it up. Don't start it until it's clean. Now here on the simple off-on switch right there. Then I got a choke. That's that little thing right there. That's the carburetor and that's the pull handle. And that is about all you have to know about this thing. I took the front off. There's a little filter that usually goes right in this area, just so you could see what it was like. And you know, another thing that it has down here, and let's see if we can get this to come in. It has a list of things that'll run. Look at that. Okay, you getting the idea here? And it tells you the wattage and things like that, approximately what they need to run. Everything on the left-hand side, it's running watts and startup watts. Okay, I'm going to come back out of here. Well, these are the things you're going to have. Because with this power plant right here, I can hook up the extension cords, hook up this, run these into my house wherever I need to be, you know, have this connected to that, and run, you know, a small TV, charge my computers. I can run numerous lights, you know, things of that nature, and have a running house while everybody has nothing out there going on as far as power goes. So that's what you have right here. You have solar panels. I'll go over this real quick one more time. The two smaller ones right here, good for trickle charge on a battery that's just sitting there never being used, except for an emergency, you know. The big blue here works real good, any big panel. You can pick these up at yard sales and things like that in a lot of places. I tell you, they're getting rid of the old ones and getting the new ones. And now they have solar panels that you can roll up. So there's a diversity of panels you can get, and you want to check and see what you want. You have a battery, which stores the energy from the sun during the day. You have extension cords. You have a surge protector. You have an inverter to run 110 to 120 volts power off of 12 volts. And then if you don't have your solar, and you have this, which you do not have to work and use an inverter with, but if you have that, guess what you want to charge those batteries? You want a battery charger. This is a very simple battery charger, and it charges at about 1.5 amps, 2 amps, and will charge all day long. So if you have a battery charger, what you can do with your regular power plant here, and I'm going to touch base on this, is you can plug, since you only have one plug-in on this little one right here, you will have to use an extension cord, and you will have to use a surge protector so you can plug multiple things in. So in one of those holes, you would plug in your battery charger, and you would hook up your battery charger to your battery, which in turn, when your generator runs out of fuel, you'll be able to go from your battery, use your inverter, and turn around and produce all the power you want. Now, that's pretty interesting, isn't it? Okay, well, here we are right now. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go on to the next section. So take a note, all these things you need. This is what you need for emergency power. Now, I'm going to be honest with you right now, you're not going to run big electric refrigerators and everything with a small power plant like this. This is for the basics, you know, internet systems, phones, if you have a phone from the internet, things like that. Your computers, charge up cell phone charging, have lights during the night, entertainment for the kids, you know, a small TV and a DVD player, things like that. So you can have everything you want with a small 800 watt power plant. And now, you know, startup watts, this will go to 900 watts. But really, you're only going to use 300 to 400, maybe 500 watts of this in emergency situations, so you're going to be fine. No microwaves, none of that big power stuff, no running your washing machines and stuff with this thing. This is made for emergency and running all your basic needs. And you'll run comfortably. And then, by the way, one tank of fuel on this thing will run for 8 to 10 hours. It really does. We've tried it. We ran lights, our entertainment system that we have, meaning our computers, our satellite dish system, our phones run through satellite. It ran everything. Everything in our house, lights, everything, plus a couple fans. So we were set up pretty good. Why did it run a couple fans? Because we also had the surge protector plugged into a battery charger, which ran, charged the battery, which in turn had this on, and we could run them too. So we have a backup system, and you're going to have power all the time with that. So okay, this is the end of part 1. Remember what you need, and remember that's the best oil there is right there, that Lucas. That's what I use for everything. So take heed. Pay close attention to what you just learned here, because next we're going to show you how to put it to use. Okay, here we are, and we have taken one of our vehicles, opened it up just to show you what you can do with this inverter right here. These things are great. This is a 400 watt, like I said before, and I've taken the positive and hooked it up to the positive terminal of the battery, and the negative cord, and hooked it up to the negative terminal of the battery. And off of this inverter I have plugged in right over here my surge protector, which protects me from any surges and anything that's going on. And I have plugged that into a shop light. Now this is without the engine on. Okay, now that's a 12 volt battery right there and set up. So I'm going to come over here and real quickly push this button, and you'll see a little green light come on. See that green light come on? That means that inverter is working. Okay, so I come over here because I'm a safety nut, and I turn this on. So my surge protector is now powered up. I take the light, and there you go. Look at that. I can see everything in that engine. I can see, anything down in there. I can see the ground very well. Now imagine if you had to do this in your house. That's a lot of light right there. I mean a lot of light. And that's why I did a lot of this towards the evening now. So I'm going to turn the light off for a second. Now you heard that little motor come on. That's the inverter because it has a fan. And that fan cools the components of the inverter down. It's a safety feature. So now that I've shown you how to do this, I'm going to go ahead and start this engine, and you'll notice this light will get brighter. Go ahead and start the engine. Now I know it's pretty hard to hear me, and I'll talk a little louder. That light is really bright now, really bright. So this is what I want to tell you and what I'm trying to teach you. You can have power anywhere you want. Now hang on a second. Turn it off. And there you go. So you can run anything with this inverter, and I'll turn everything back off. Here, my switch is off. The little green light is on. I turn it off, and there we go. So just to show you that you can run a lot off here. Right here, I guarantee you, I have done it, and my wife was pretty well amazed that I have ran our internet system, all of our phone systems that are on the internet, which we have too. We've been able to charge our computers and run them at the same time. And with our vehicle running, that inverter hooked up to the battery, the same setup, but I had an extension cord that ran into the house, in through a window, and had the same surge protector set up. We had almost every one of these plugs plugged in with something, lights, computer chargers, phone chargers, the internet, our satellite internet system, and guess what? It all worked, and it worked for quite a while. Now all of a sudden there is a warning here I want to tell you. With this system right here, when you hear a beep, a loud sounding a little alarm in here, that means that you're getting down below 12 volts. Now the system will still run into the 11.5s, 11.4s, but then all of a sudden your power can turn off. And I expect that at about 11.6, 11.6 volts. So that's what you got here. And then you got to shut everything off and let that battery charge by the alternator of the vehicle. Because that's what's charging that battery. So here you are though, seriously, of a 12 volt battery running, 110, 120, and I told you everything we've ran with it. So let's go to the next section. Let's go on over and look at the generator power plant. And I won't start it for you, but I will hook everything up and show you how to do that too. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we are. This is the one of the last sections here. Now we've got the power plant. I'm not going to start it right now because I'm going to just give you a quick demonstration on hookup. But I can guarantee you it will run everything you see here and a whole lot more. I didn't use the big extension cords because we're on a table. But if you need to use a 50, 100-foot cord, 150-foot cord, you plug it in, run it to your house window. And with the vehicle, like I just showed you, you can have lights and some entertainment for your kids, even if it's just a radio. An emergency situation, you're going to want lighting, and you're going to want your emergency radio and information to know what's going on. So pack up a few extension cords, a few 50-footers, a 100-footer, and a 50 or whatever, and you'll be set. And they would go in between what this cord is right here and the generator. I'd plug that extension cord in first, and then plug the surge protector into the extension cord. But anyway, our surge protector is plugged in, and I got two other things plugged into it too. I have that light plugged in, which you've already seen working, and this power plant will produce more than the vehicle. Matter of fact, you don't have to turn this off to let anything charge. It's charging everything. The truck has to be turned off because it's a smaller battery. This produces 110, 120 volts continuously. So that's what we're working with now, not 12 volts. So you fire this up, you got the surge protector, I have my light plugged in. I also have a battery charged in to the battery charger. And the battery charger in turn is charging the battery. So all of a sudden, that battery is nice and charged after, let's say, an hour or something like that of charging, 2 hours of charging, if it's dead. And then you turn around and your generator quits for some reason. Oh my God, what am I going to do now? No problem. We have an inverter. We take our inverter, I'll pull it right over here in the center of things, and then we hook a inverter up to this, the negative, I hooked the negative inverter up to the negative of the battery, and now I'm going to hook the positive to the positive of the battery, and you've seen that spark because there's juice in there. And now, if the whole system dies, you still have the inverter that you can plug into, take everything off everything else, plug into, and run some lights and radio and things like that for your family. So there you go. I mean, that's a complete system right there. It's very simple, very easy, and it's just something I wanted to show you, because I really think when you have a family and you're a family person, whether you're a single parent or not, you need to know how to make emergency power, because our kids go crazy without emergency power. I mean, we have time to play the games and everything, but there you go. There's an 800-watt power plant. You have a surge protector right here. Every power plant, everything needs to have one there because that's your multiple plug-ins. And since you only have one plug-in for there, if you want more light and radio, then you want a few more plug-ins. That's the other, there you are. You have your surge protector for 12-volt power. Okay, then you have a battery charger. So when you're running your main power plant, you can charge your batteries on a rainy day when there are no clouds and things, or let's say when there are clouds, where you can't use your solar panel. So you have backup upon its redundancy. There you go. You know, when you're running the big power plant, your battery charger is charging the battery. Your extension cords, you're going to need them just because of distance. So I hope you learned a lot here, because it really isn't too hard to learn this. That puts out 110, 120. Your battery puts out 12. The inverter puts out 110, 120. So you can still run what you need to or charge what you need to. Okay, with that said, I'm going to get inside here because it is getting a little dark and these mosquitoes are starting to eat us up. But now you know how to run your power. And I might add one more thing onto this little video sequence here, and as a surprise, and we'll see what it is if I decide to do it. Okay, I'll talk to you later. You know how to do this now. These are the things you knew. You have. You know how to work the car now, how to set up your power from a car, and a power plant. So go get the stuff you need. This is cheap stuff. None of it. The battery costs about $36. The solar panels cost me about $40 or $50. I got them in a flea market. The power plant right there cost me about $120. Surge protector another $30, and the inverter was about a $26 bill, and so was the battery charger. Okay, so that's about what it takes to get things going and get things set up for you and your family. Okay, I'll see you on the flip side. Enjoy. Now you know how to make power. Get out there. Let's do it.